What's up, homies? Crypt Keeper here, and this is going to be a 3 versus 3. It's actually all Terran against 2 Protoss and 1 Terran, so here I am in the light blue Terran. Finally, I'm not purple. Very happy about that, so I'm going to be starting in the bottom right with my other teammates, the red Terran El Mago, and the dark blue Terran Skid Row. So we collaborate our attacks very well in this gameplay. If you're going to play 3 versus 3, that's really the only way to win, is if you collaborate all your attacks. On the opposition, we have the orange Protoss Inspiron, the purple Terran Geno, and the other yellow Protoss is going to be Sync? Yeah, Sync. So, Protoss Terran versus all Terran. We're going to see a lot of Marines and Marauders and Siege Tanks, I think, for the first attacks here. Let's talk a little bit about the map. I can't remember the map name because StarCraft 2 has such crazy names for all its maps. Anyway, we have these 2 expansions right in the middle. Have to destroy those destructible rocks to be able to expand there, as well as the Xel'Naga Watchtower. So I'm going to begin walling off with my first barracks here, and I think El Mago, yeah, he's going to help me wall off too. Meanwhile, on the other side, Skid Row is going to wall off by himself. Yeah, there he is. So he's got his supply depot down, and we're building the first barracks. This map also has this like weird dead end with the Xel'Naga Watchtower. It's got that high ground there, so I guess if you wanted to expand there and defend it from that high ground, you could. But other than that, it's just a dead end. So we got Geno. He's kind of late on his first barracks. Inspiron's getting down his first gateway. Now, I do believe the Protoss players are trying to tech up early, so we're not going to see those really early gateway units or a rush or anything like that, which I think was their downfall. But nonetheless, they are going to put a lot of cannons down just to defend their base while they tech up to prevent from any early rushes. There I am, building my first tech lab, getting my second barracks out. All very standard at this point. Staying ahead with the supply depots, although Skid Row is kind of late on the tech lab or reactor core on his barracks. Looking on the other side, Inspiron is going to be just making 1 zealot for now. Always good to have that ground defense while you're trying to tech up, of course. Cybernetics core going down, and Geno really should have upgraded to his planetary fortress or orbital command by now. But I do think the Protoss players are carrying him along very nicely. So I've got my second barracks down, training a Marauder, 1 SCV just kind of taking a coffee break right there, don't mind him. And I've got my orbital command out, and I'm going to begin using those mules, but I do not have my second refinery up. I'm going to get 4 refineries as fast as I can because my strategy for this gameplay required a lot of tech. Meanwhile, my other 2 teammates seem to go for a large ground army while I tended to tech up a little bit. So my tech and their ground army really complemented each other in this gameplay. There we see a triple racks with a double reactor core going to be able to pump out units very fast for Skid Row there. There we see the red and cyan Marines merging a little bit. I've got my engineering bay down, and I'm going to begin that 1 weapons upgrade for the infantry very soon. Double refineries down for the red Terran player, always good. He's going to be able to build a lot of tech units later on by building those refineries earlier. And just some stalkers defending this choke point right here. Now this choke point right here is actually the very key location for all the main battles in this gameplay. So I'm going to be coming back to this point a lot. This is where all the main battles are going to take place. I definitely would have liked to see maybe some stronger reinforcement on that bottleneck right there. Inspiron getting out his first observer, which we didn't see any early scouting probes, actually. If you ask me, it's better to get out that early observer if you're a Protoss player, because you don't want to have to spend time microing around a single probe when he could be mining anyway. That way you can just get an observer and park it in the enemy's base, and they're none the wiser. And on our side too, there we see the observer coming over. to check out my base. He's not going to see much at this point, although he does see a lot throughout the entire game. I didn't get any detector units out to fight off this observer, so I think I'll definitely do that next time. There we see a couple of tanks coming out. Really not much of a ground force at this point. We have to destroy those rocks in our natural expansion before we start to push out, and I think right when I get my second command center down, we push out for our first attack. There we see warping in lots of cannons with Colossus and a Void Ray defending that choke point right there, although we do not attack on that point in the whole gameplay. We tend to go to the other side because, well, there's less cannons, and cannons are just a pain in the neck. So I've rallied all my buildings to the rally point, and I'm just amassing my forces at this point. Really doing a good job putting all our army together later on in this gameplay. There we go. I'm taking out these rocks so that I can expand. There's even one SCV there just drilling away. On the other side, our opposition has already taken out these rocks, so they are ahead of us in the expansions, which is never good. You want to stay ahead of your opponents in expansions. But my first one's going down right now, so it's more or less the same timing. Not too much of a time difference between the expansions. And I get my armory down, and I'm going to begin researching those ship upgrades because I am planning to tech up to battle cruisers. Just because I know that my ground army, when they're cluster fucked together like that, they tend not to do well against splash damage units, so I do get a ground army. Earlier on in the game, we are rallying our forces to the middle of the map to begin pushing out on our first attack. Now, the opposition is actually forced to just turtle up and kind of counterattack to any kind of rush that may come in, which is not good to do. You want to be the person on the offensive. You don't want to be on the defensive. And especially when we put our three armies together like this, it's very hard to deal with. So we are going to begin pushing out right about now. I don't know what we're waiting for. So we are going to push out right now, and I even have one Thor on the field. Just wanted to wait for that Thor to get in there before we started pushing out. So masses of Marines, masses of siege tanks, and even one Thor. We're going to try to bust down this front door here. There's nothing but a few stalkers and a couple sentries to defend against this. We are going to see force fields going down. Yes. Force fields going down, blocking off most of this army, although it's not used too effectively. We're kind of just bunched together and some Colossus even coming up on the high ground, and the splash damage on the Colossus is just melting away all my entire army. In fact, my entire army, because I decided to stay and attack those Colossus on the high ground, get so much damage dealt. My entire army is no more, as my teammates are forced to retreat a little bit to help defend against this. So my teammates are successful in pushing through, although I decided to hang back and I got absolutely killed. So my teammates are going to be able to do some mineral line harassment here. There we see 2 gateways going down. Only 4 stalkers really trying to defend against this. A little bit of micro, but there's just too many Marines at this point. Although the Inspiron does send in some reinforcements later on, but it is far, far too late. Lots of damage has been done. There we see Almago is running into the mineral line, and Skid Row is just kind of hanging around, destroying whatever he can. And Sink is forced to retreat his SCVs, so it's not a complete loss. But one Colossus is able to take out 20 or 30 Marines altogether. I'm not sure how many kills this Colossus has, but one Void Ray and one Colossus able to deal with these Marines. And will this Nexus go down? And I'm not sure if this Nexus is going to go down. Oh, it's almost done. Only a few Marines and a few Marauders. That Colossus and that Void Ray are going to try to destroy all these forces, but can the Nexus go down? Oh, that Marauder was able to kill it. With one last hit point, with one last missile, that Marauder was able to take down that Nexus. So that is going to be a huge loss for that Protoss player. He's going to have to rebuild that Nexus. And I even have 2 Marines, which I have forgotten about completely, just kind of chilling in the enemy's base. They're going to get slaughtered pretty soon, as I've forgotten about them, I'm sure. So we see a missile turret on the high ground, really not too much, and now we are teching up and getting ready for the counterattack. Not really a counterattack, but the second attack. So I've got 2 starports with tech labs already built. I'm just waiting for the right amount of Vespene to be able to build battle cruisers, but I am going to have 3 starports altogether making battle cruisers. And I do believe my teammates are going to stick with Marines and Siege Tanks and Thors. So really good unit composition, especially when you attack together, all 3 players as a team. So if you're going to attack all 3 together as a team, it's better to have a wide unit composition than obviously all the same unit composition. As you were able to see all those Colossus on the high ground able to kill so many Marines. We were flanked really good there, but however, I did notice that I got absolutely pwned right there, and I decided to change my strategy to deal with those Colossus on the high ground because they're too much of a threat and they were doing way too much damage, and the effectiveness of our attack was just not enough with those Colossus on the high ground, especially coupled with a couple of Void Rays. So I'm just going to fast forward up here as we amass our units for the second attack. I do believe I have 2 attack, 1 armor upgrades on the battle cruisers, and I do begin researching that 3 attack upgrade as we push out for our second attack to make it that much more effective. That way, any battle cruisers that don't get taken out if they're hanging around, right when that 3rd attack upgrade completes, it will make them that much more deadly. So I always make sure to be researching upgrades as I'm pushing out for attacks as well as expanding. And that observer is still parked over my starports there, so he obviously knows that he's pretty much fucked at this point, because that observer just saw like 8 battle cruisers being made. There we go, we have a few battle cruisers, a few Thors, Vikings, and plenty of Marines, Marauders, and Siege Tanks. I am going to wait for 2 more battle cruisers to show up before we push out. We're able to take out 1 Nexus on the opposition side, so their economy is going to be a lot lower than ours at this point, so being able to fend off this 3 army attack is going to be very hard. So like I said before, very important to collaborate attacks with all your teammates. If you're just doing your own thing, then you're not really going to go anywhere as far as gameplay is concerned. So there we go, 2 battle cruisers finally coming in. Those are my last reinforcements. And I am half done that 3 attack upgrade for my battle cruisers. So my battle cruisers are really going to be a force to be reckoned with in this battle. Also, El Maga was smart enough to realize that there's going to be Colossus on the high ground and got some Vikings to deal with that as well. Although there is some missile turrets which could make this a little bit less effective as 1 Viking gets sniped out by that 1 missile turret. But all these Thors and all these Marines and a group of Colossus and Void Rays coming to the high ground. I knew this would happen. The Vikings are desperately trying to kill all the Void Rays and the Colossus, and my battle cruisers come in and begin focus firing down all these Colossus. These Colossus have no chance against this many battle cruisers, as there's not enough Void Rays to compete with these battle cruisers. So even Thor's on the low ground going to begin focus firing down these Colossus, and there's only 4 left. And that entire army of Colossus is just gone within seconds. That Void Ray too. And that's pretty much the end of the game. As you can see, Marines are just having a heyday in the Protoss' base while he only has 4 Stalkers to defend. All these gateways powered down, and that Nexus is going to fall as well. So my battle cruisers are just totally having a party in the Protoss base, taking out those secondary expansions, and those Thors have no chance. So there we go. Inspiron, good games, and this is how you should collaborate your attacks in 3 versus 3. Like I said, it's very important to collaborate with all your teammates. Hey, thanks for watching, and see you guys later!